Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stress-Free IEP, the show where we help families build their village to raise their neurodivergent children with confidence and support. I'm your host, Frances Shefter, special education attorney, advocate, and fellow parent walking this journey with you. Each week, we shine a light on professionals, resources, and real-world strategies that can empower you to navigate the IEP process and beyond. Whether you're tuning in live on Facebook or YouTube or listening later on your favorite podcast app, we are so glad you're here. And as you're listening, we'd love to hear from you. Drop your questions in the comments or ask them live. We're paying attention and we promise to respond. So before we jump in, I have a quick update. Unfortunately, our scheduled interview with Andrea Svensson had to be postponed due to a scheduling conflict. She had an emergency meeting scheduled. We're looking forward to bringing her back soon because her expertise in IEP advocacy and successful IEP meetings is too valuable to miss. But today, we're going to tackle something just as important. I often get this question: what do we do? The school's not implementing my child's IEP. How do we address this? And so here's the reality of it. You have basically one option. I guess technically two options. So the school is not implementing your child's IEP and your child is struggling. We hold an IEP meeting, we can tweak it. And we can tweak the IEP and see if we can get some more supports in place in the current setting. So like if your child is in the least restrictive environment, so let's be clear, least restrictive environment is general education, period. There's no such thing as the next level of least restrictive environment. Everything else is more restrictive. So least restrictive environment in the general education setting, let's say it's not working. We need a co-teacher. We need additional adult support. We need more supplementary aids and services. We can add all of this to the IEP to get it beefed up a little. And if that's still not working, now we need to go look at a more restrictive environment and what that would look like. One of the things I always say to potential clients or current clients is you as a family need to decide what your end goal is. Do you want your child to stay where your child is in the homeschool model, in your in-boundary school, or are you open to going to a more restrictive environment, whether that be a program offered by the county or potentially a non-public school? And once you know that, then we can discuss and decide the avenue to go. Because unfortunately, the way the law is written is that if a school is not implementing an IEP and the child is not progressing towards IEP goals or progressing to grade levels, then a more restrictive environment is the answer. Sometimes that's appropriate. Sometimes that's not appropriate. Sometimes it's what a family wants. Sometimes it's not. And those are the decisions to make. And then look at, okay, I want my child to stay in the homeschool model. So this is what we need to add to hopefully the child be more successful. Or this isn't working. Let's look at different options. And maybe there are options out there. Maybe there are not options out there. And those are the things to talk through. Now, non-public school. I have always said non-public school is special ed school, private school is different. But in reality, I was wrong. I will admit it. Yes, I was wrong. Non-public schools are basically private schools. The difference is how they're organized. So non-public schools that school systems will pay for because they can't find another environment are special education schools. Those are all students have IEPs and they are, the school implements the IEPs and they're required to. There's also private schools that are private pay schools. Those schools don't have to follow IEPs and don't have to implement IEPs because they're organized in a different structure. So those are the differences. So in Maryland, Montgomery County, some of the ones you'll hear about is Ivy Mount, Catherine Thomas. Those are your non-public schools that are special education schools. Then there are your schools like McLean or Fusion Academy. Those are your private pay private schools. And so those are the difference on the two of like, if the school doesn't have anything, where can I send my child, of what you're looking at. Sometimes we take a look and there isn't anything that fits our child's needs. And so what are our options then? Unfortunately, in today's world where we're moving, school systems aren't always moving with our children and what our children's needs are. And so, if private school is not an option financially, or because it's just too structured still, or you can't find the right fit, then homeschooling becomes an option. And what is homeschooling? So a lot of people confuse homeschooling. Some people think homeschooling is, the county provides the instruction. That's a different model. That's home and hospital instruction. I think Montgomery County used to call it ISS. There's different names for it. But that's when the school system determines that home instruction is the most appropriate setting due to medical reasons. And that could be mental health or actual physical, whatever that may be. And that's a different process. Or there's homeschooling. That's when the family takes on the responsibility of educating your child. There's a form that you fill out to say, we're withdrawing our child, we're opting to homeschool. Each state and each county has slightly different of what that looks like, in the sense of how you need to prove that homeschooling is actually still happening. There's portfolios you need to keep, or certain paperwork you need to submit, some of those types of things. There are lots of resources out there to find out what your state requires. There are also what's called umbrella organizations. And these are organizations that they don't take on the instruction, but they take over like the oversight of what's being done. So they kind of put together the portfolio, tell you as a parent what you need to prove, and then they put it all together, and then they deal with the state overseeing it all. And so they submit to the state, this is what's going on. And so that kind of takes a little bit of pressure off the family of like, I don't know what to submit. I don't know what to do. There's an umbrella company out there. And so, those are other options. But the important thing to remember is that there are options. And I know homeschool is not an option for some families, and we understand that. And sometimes the homeschool model isn't working. So what are the programs that are available? A school saying, we don't have anything, is not an acceptable response. A school saying, well, we've put all the supports we can, and, there is nothing else, so deal with it, is also not acceptable. The school is required to have a continuum of services. Least restrictive environment going to more restrictive. Least restrictive meaning all with general education students. When you say more restrictive, it means less time with general education students and more time with special education students. So that's pull out a special ed class, a special ed school, those resources. School systems must have a continuum of services available. They cannot say, well, this is it, there is nothing else. Now, they can disagree with you and say, the child's progressing, it's fine, the child's staying here, meaning not the child, but like everything is fine, the child is progressing, we're staying in this environment. And that's a disagreement that then there's another avenue to take. But they can't say, there's nothing else we can do, take it or leave it. They have to help find something that's acceptable. If your child is not progressing, there needs to be the continuum of services. So I know that was a lot of information in a short amount of time, but it's a topic that I felt was really important because I get that question so much of the school's not implementing my child's IEP. What do I do? What are my options? And so that in a nutshell is a bunch of options. We are going to have a lot of links in this episode that to other episodes that talk about other options. For example, Fusion Academy, or I had Rich Weinfeld on talking about school options and what to look for and how to decide on what option's best for your child. But so those are going to be some links below so that you can push out and look farther for what your child might be. And again, we're always open to questions, so feel free to drop comments below. We do pay attention, we do respond, and we're happy to answer any general questions. So thank you all for joining us on this episode of Stress-Free IEP. We hope today's episode gave you new tools, insights, or just a little more peace of mind as you support your neurodivergent child. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with someone in your village. Next week, we will have episode 133, What Schools Should Be Measuring, IEP Data, Tutoring, and Support with Joanna Kidder. You can always learn more and connect with me at shefterlaw.com or follow along on social media. Until next time, remember, you do not